Here we are for another Jayhawker podcast. I am Greg Gurley along with Wayne Simeon, about to be joined. We're here in the indoor football facility at the University of Kansas, about to be joined by Lance Leipold. We're going to get a little basketball talk in as we've had a big week. Coming off a 3-game losing streak this past weekend, we go to Rupp. Everything's against us. Kentucky on a 4-game winning streak. And what happens?
Man, I tell you what, losing 2 in a row here feels a little bit chilly. Losing 3 in a row with 4 on the cusp, something that Bill Self-led team has never done, gets the neck, the collar a little tight around the neck.
People ask me if I get nervous before a game, and I don't necessarily. Do you? Like we were on the plane going to Rupp on Friday. Were you thinking about being nervous about the game as a
I wasn't
former
thinking
player?
about being nervous. I was thinking about what's at stake. I was excited about the matchup. Kentucky, who had been on an uptick like us, struggled earlier, made some adjustments and tweaks, and got on a 4-game winning streak themselves. It felt like we weren't that far away from being able to make a few tweaks and adjustments there. Had a little bit longer, extended week of preparation. Were able to do that and came out victorious in a blue blood battle.
And then earlier this week in Allen Fieldhouse, Dillon's Sunflower Showdown. K-State comes in. We dropped one to them just 2 weeks ago by 1. Shot the ball terribly, missed free throws, turned it over, didn't get shots at the end of regulation. And earlier this week just played more of a complete game. And mainly because I think we know what Jalen's going to do. Jalen's emerged as a surefire All-American, possibly Big 12 Player of the Year.
For sure.
In that K-State game, he became the all-time leader of a 5-game span by a Kansas Jayhawk since the inception of the Big 12, 133 points, which is one more than second place, who you know.
Know him pretty well.
Really?
Yeah.
How would you describe him?
A Jayhawk.
A Jayhawk. Jalen Wilson, not that was a record like you probably didn't even know
I didn't
you had
even know.
it.
Yeah, and who gets these stats? Who has these? What type of library, Rolodex, who's keeping all these stats?
We were doing the broadcast the other night, and it came up on our screen, and I'm like, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, they go, can you guess who second was? I have no idea. I mean, I can think of guys, Paul Pierce, Devontae.
Who's on
Franks.
that list?
Yeah. I figured he was, but yeah, there's some researchers that dug deep, but the bottom line is for Jalen Wilson to be there, that is something to hang your hat on, and it shows what he's done over the last 5 games. He started out, it was like 38, then 30s. He scored over 20 points for 5 straight games in a row. It's just because the first 5 games of the Big 12 season, he was getting his points, but he wasn't shooting at it. I mean, he was shooting like 34% from the field, but now he's efficient. He's making threes. He's posting up. He's getting to the line, and true leader of our team. But for us to win at Rupp and against Kansas State, it took the other guys. It took Kevin, who was on a downturn. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was struggling.
Coming off his roughest game, at K-State.
DeJuan, turning the ball over, made all those threes earlier, shot wasn't falling. And then KJ had a great game against K-State in Manhattan, but the next 2 games he struggled. So we know what we're going to get from Jalen, and most of the time we know what we're going to get from Grady. It's the other guys that make the difference.
Yeah, one thing that I want to highlight about Jalen, who's done a phenomenal job of becoming a complete scorer, not just settling for the 3-point shot, but being able to score mid-range, get layups, get to the foul line, is in both those games against both those Wildcat teams, he threw in some daggers there at the end. I mean, both those teams, Kentucky and K-State, were hanging around, were kind of making a late-game run. At Rupp, the crowd was getting into it and really knocked down some big shots to kind of take the air out of their sails to let them know that we were in command and control the game and lead us to victory. And I like what you said. Of course, we know what we're going to get from Jalen. To me, a couple of the factors in these last 2 wins has been attention to detail. Okay, we got guys that are paying more attention to scout report, guys, their timing and their attention to, how we're trying to run plays is a little bit better. The small things like rebounding. I mean, you keep a guy like Oscar Shigwe off the glass for the entirety of the game, give up 1 offensive rebounds at Rupp. You keep the team that is –
They were getting 39% of their misses on offensive rebounds. Think about that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And you limit them to one. KJ did a great job on that. And then the bench. How about the bench?
Yeah.
You know, someone that's been, a group of guys that's been under a lot of scrutiny, giving up lots of points in those 3 losses. And as you look at the stat sheet from the game against K-State, it was actually flipped, and our bench was more productive than theirs, and that was a big component to our success.
You were never really a bench player, but just kind of put your bench hat on. That game didn't matter in the Big 12 standing, and maybe Bill tinkered with the lineup a little bit more, but you had the injury to Zuby, so Ernest knows that he's not going to be taken out. Does that help his confidence level? You think he even thought about that? Because he was really productive at Kentucky against the reigning National Player of the Year.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much he thought about that. Hopefully he sees it as an opportunity, and basically with his size and athleticism, something that maybe a Zach Clements doesn't have, though Zach has some intangible skills that Ernest doesn't have. It's really his to lose when you think about the matchups that we have for the rest of the Big 12 season. Guys that are long, guys that are athletic, guys that have other teams that have rim protectors. Like, we're going to need Ernest to really grow up into this role as Zuby's getting healthy. And it sounds like it's not too severe of an injury, so hopefully he'll be back here within the next week or so.
Yeah, it's probably a couple of weeks. And the bench has been a topic all year. And in this 2-game winning streak, the bench has really provided a spark. Zach had 5 against K-State. Ernest had a offensive rebound putback. And it sounds like little things, but when you were getting nothing, it's something. And that helped in a big way. And we do have a short bench, and we don't have a ton of size. And gotten some foul trouble in that losing streak, and that really hurt. So moving forward, here we are getting ready to go to Ames this weekend, and then 48 hours later play Texas at home. Also a big-time challenge. We're sitting in second place, have an opportunity to get right. We're playing a team that tied with us and a team that's in front of us. What more can you ask for?
Man, it's so interesting. Sometimes when you watch a game, you hear the stat of lead changes. I'm looking at the month of February and curious how many lead changes are going to take place in the Big 12 standings between, the huge traffic jam that's between, first and second place throughout that month. So it's going to be an entertaining time of basketball for us Big 12 fans.
Yeah, we got a lot going on. Going to have Lance Leipold here to talk all things Kansas football, recap all that went on, the Liberty Bowl game, the recruiting class, the spring showcase. So looking forward to that. But a big past weekend and almost a bigger upcoming weekend for Kansas basketball in Ames, Iowa, against an Iowa State team that just lost 2 straight at Missouri. And then the other night, an epic meltdown against Texas Tech, up 23 in the second half and end up losing it in overtime. But they're obviously not going to be very happy to welcome us to the friendly confines of Hilton Coliseum.
Yeah, and I don't think it was even a surprise seeing, even though it was a meltdown because of the point differential for most of that Texas Tech game. I don't think any of us were surprised that they got clipped by Texas Tech, because they've been chomping at the bit for a signature win, and they've been very, very close, and they're probably going to get several more throughout this month here. But no rest for the weary. It's going to be a gauntlet, as that word is continually used.
Every time I end my post-game interview with Bill Self, I say, hey, no rest for the weary. We got to get on a plane tomorrow and go to Austin or go to whatever. And it's true. There's no easy wins in Lubbock just because they've only won 1 game.
Yeah.
Same thing in Morgantown, and they're going to be at the bottom. But man, we got a fun month of February coming up, early March, and it's just fun to be a Jayhawk right now.
Yeah. Hey, all is right with the world, right?
All is right.
Had three losses in a row, and now we got Kentucky win, K-State women's win, on Sunday.
That was big.
Chiefs take care of business. They're going back to the Super Bowl, and how great was Travis Kelce in the field house?
Perfect.
Then, of course, we take care of business against the Wildcats as well, and so we're feeling pretty good right now.
All right, this is the Jayhawker Podcast. When we come back, we will be joined by Lance Leipold to talk all things Kansas football, maybe even get into some of our athletic abilities on the football field.
Or lack thereof.
Or lack thereof. But Jayhawker Podcast brought to you by the University of Kansas Health System.
It was late, and one of my patients was having trouble sleeping. He was feeling uneasy, he told me. I asked him, "Is there anything I can do to help?" I'm pretty sure he's the only patient ever to ask me to dance at 2 a.m. But sometimes, being the best nurse I can be is just being the best person I can be.
Welcome back to another edition of the Jay Hawker Podcast. I am Greg Gurley along with Wayne Simeon and special guest, head coach Lance Leipold, here on a very important day after the schedule just was released and signing day.
Yeah, an exciting time. Great to be with you guys. We had a chance to finish our signing class with 2 more additions from our early signing period in December, as well as announcing our transfers. And as you said, the Big 12 announced our schedule. So a lot of great things happening as we have spring ball just really right around the corner.
You've been in this game a long time. How different is 2023 signing day than, say, 2-3 years ago?
And do you miss fax machines?
I think that was, really up until like 3 years ago, we were still trying to use them. It was like the only thing a fax machine ever had to be used for. But, there's some things that have been, pretty antiquated that it took us a while in this sport to get out of the way. But it's definitely different, guys. It's to a point where between the transfer portal, the early signing period was something that I was very excited about back at, my last job and things like that. I just think everything in sports in our world seems to be sped up so much anyway. Young men were making earlier decisions. I think coaches were spending really resources and time just making sure that the young man was okay, his family was okay, where you could lock it up and sign it. Hopefully they're talking about even moving it up the high school period a little bit sooner. But we're doing that. So this second one has really become anticlimactic in ways that it's usually smaller signings at this time. But, it's an evolving world. And then the transfer portal in and of itself is something that we could probably spend all day talking about.
Yeah, I bet.
Now, we know you got a good group of guys, and assessing the class as a whole, what was some strategy that you implemented towards this specific class, maybe position-wise, side of the ball-wise?
I think one of the things that probably look at some of the high school things that we were looking at in the high school class was younger receivers. Okay, we didn't lose any receivers this year. We're still fairly young in some spots in this football team. We wanted to make sure that we could find guys that could have time to develop in our program and help us in other ways, but not something that we needed to address with older players. So that was probably the biggest spot where we signed 3 guys. In the transfer portal, again, we're still looking for ways to, we need to make improvements yet on defense and secure ourselves. And we lost 3 defensive tackles. We wanted to, as well as 3 defensive ends. So we had to address some things in the defensive line, and we added a few more at, a linebacker, J.B. Brown from Bowling Green, and a couple guys in the secondary. So much like last year, we wanted to talk about continuing a culture of competition in the offseason, that our players have to work each and every day to compete, and they'll be better for it in the long run. It'll add depth, and I think that really helped us take a big step this year.
Here you are entering your 3rd year, which seems crazy how time has flown by, but a magical season last year with the bowl, Liberty Bowl, one of the best bowl games of the whole season. How much did that excitement from that help in the recruiting?
I think it's helped. I think where you're really going to see it, Greg, is as we head now into as we turn the page to the 24 class. I think probably half of our class or more was really committed in June or earlier. So the success of the early part of the season, the sellouts, the college game day, and the bowl bid and bowl game in and of itself, were pretty much, the class was already committed and signed. So the exciting thing is what's up for the future when people have seen progress made in this program. And as you said, it's something that is exciting as we continue to make administrative commitment and facilities and other things. We just think we can keep stacking wins on top of things that will help us move this program.
And that administrative commitment was signing you to a long-term deal and retaining 100% of your on-field staff.
Yeah, that's huge. And not so much for me, but I think again, for us, continuity's been a big thing about what we've been as a staff and a program to build it. I talked a year ago at this time about alignment and having a group of assistants that were in good alignment of what we want to do, what the culture is going to be about, and to have everybody back and to take another step. Because as you guys know better than me, what this program unfortunately had gone through, especially even in the position rooms, was, a different face every year, and building confidence and trust was tough. And for us to be able to do that, you mentioned our administration, it shows that we're ready to take another step here as a football program.
Now, I think that part of the secret sauce that you have is the continuity of your staff, going all the way back to Wisconsin Whitewater. And one of the things I appreciate is, when things get tough, guys trust each other. You're familiar with each other. Even when the bullets are flying, you know the plan. You stick to the plan. No one's panicking. Am I wrong to think about that in terms of the continuity of this staff and being able to work with guys for such a long time and have that trust built is part of the secret sauce and having us ahead of schedule?
I think it's a great point. I think it's something that I've never really took as much thought into it or pride into it until others have noticed it, is that, the people that have been with me a long time, hopefully they feel they've been given the leeway within the program and the culture to prosper and grow, but yet stay together. But it also allows us at this time, or myself as a head coach, to go spend time addressing other things that we need to do to get the program better in other areas. And a lot of times it's not football related. It's other things that touch our program, or future things that we're going to try to do, or other things that have changed in college athletics. So when I know that each coordinator is running their room and I know what they're doing and I have confidence where it's going, it allows me to do other things. Matt Gildersleeve is doing what he needs to do in the weight room. All those things help us kind of grow, and that where it comes with trust and confidence.
We talk about change, from 5 years ago, recruiting and all that. Recruiting's taken on a different tone where you got to almost re-recruit the guys that are already here, and you did a great job last year of that, keeping your core. We knew that Jalen Daniels said he was coming back, and it wasn't made official till a while ago, and that's huge to have your quarterback, your leader, back again.
Yeah, Jalen, obviously we know what he's done for this program, really for our university in many ways, and what happened this year, and to have him, and he's a special talent, but what a wonderful young man, and I just, the charisma and excitement that he brings to our program. But you're right, and Greg, we have to make sure that there's communication and relationships, trust, understanding, knowing their role, seeing light at the end of the tunnel. If you're not seeing playing time, that you did make the right choice and the right program to be at, and you see it all over the country. Sometimes a program of a couple guys leave, and the next day you kind of see the snowball effect, and that's it's a unique aspect of college athletics.
Coach, I'm curious about this when it comes to the schedule release. When you first laid eyes on the schedule, where do your eyes first go? Is it a particular matchup? Is it where the bye week is located? What type of things catch your attention when you first see the schedule roll out?
Probably a little bit of everything. Obviously I knew the first 3 games. Where the bye week is important, and also home and away, like how many in a row are your consecutive weeks on the on the road. I've spent most of my life in the northern part of this country, so I don't worry much about locality late in the year and what the weather's going to be like, but I know some people do. It was probably more that I had a decent idea who our possible non-opponents were going to be now with this expanded conference. So to kind of see where it all laid out and where we played maybe some of the new members, I guess, was probably something I was curious about as well.
Well, how about the first game of the year on a Thursday night, which is kind of a switch? And we see so many college football games on Thursday. We used to be a Saturday game. Lately, we've moved it to Friday. What do you think about the Thursday night?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Greg, because first of all, I really wanted to say thanks. And again, we talk about things that our administration has done, and you understand it's something that I tried to talk about the first couple of years. We could get to Friday. We weren't quite ready with some things on campus and things with school being in session and things of making that happen. And this year we were able to do so. And why that's important, there's some things that has to do with when you report and you get a couple earlier start. You get a little bit more rest in between, and then we have another Power 5 opponent and a Big Ten school in Illinois. So there's some things, and many times we were playing on less days of preparation than our opponents because they were taking advantage of that. So to get that done this year, I thought was great, and we greatly appreciate it.
And you're not up against high school football on a Friday night. There's all kinds of factors. People can start their Labor Day weekend a little earlier.
And that sounds good to me, right?
Yeah, let's go. You want to go to the lake?
Right.
Maybe on Friday.
And that's what we said. So you come to go to the game on Thursday. You can be on the lake by Friday night. But, and we understand and respect high school football and where there is, many of us have sons that are playing. And, the first year we kind of came late. They were able to adjust the local high school schedule a little bit. This time we've got this out in advance, and it all works because we want it to be that way.
It's a perfect segue to what Wayne and I do for a living, and that's development and the Kansas Athletics development and the Williams Fund as far as tickets go. And how fun was it last year? We just hadn't seen it forever. 3 consecutive sellouts. We knew that if you win, they will come, and they did. Now we need to parlay that into next year and get involved in the Williams Fund and Kansas Athletics, buy tickets, and get out to the best setting in all of college football.
Yeah, you could have not said it better because it means so much to us. And, there was a couple times during those consecutive weeks, bus pulling up to the stadium and to see the energy, college game day, to see the hill the way it was. And, as people take their seats and we go in 20 minutes before the game and you come back out and it's filled and there's a couple times, Matt Gildersleeve or somebody comes up before kickoff and it's kind of like, can you believe this, that it's happened at this time and maybe this quickly? And to your point about that, and it's a point, but those settings, that atmosphere, that home field advantage, that definitely paid off. And it makes a difference, and our fans do make a difference, and their support makes a difference, and they're equally a part of this, and we're going to need each and every one of them throughout the years.
You mentioned Coach Gildersleeve a couple of times, and with the opening kick seeming like it's months away, even here and now, and the months leading up to it is a key time of preparation, mainly which will be led by him. How closely do you guys work together in this time of the year, and then what other additional prep are you doing leading up to spring ball?
Well, they're about week 3 right now of our off-season program. I have extreme confidence in Matt. Again, another one that we talk about retaining and keeping. It's early in my career at Buffalo, we had 5 strength coaches in 5 years, and that's tough for that continuity. And to have Matt and not only what he does in the weight room and in this building with our guys, but what he does with the culture and leadership and development, some of those things when we're not allowed to. So he's doing so much, and as you're really saying, Wayne, is from really when they reported back mid-January to really August 1st, Matt Gildersleeve and his staff will spend the most time with our players. By rule, we cannot. So that interaction, that trust, that not just getting them bigger and faster, there's a lot that goes with that, and that is such an important position in our program. And I could not be more confident in anyone that I have in what he does and the reports that we get daily, weekly on how they're progressing in so many ways, whether it be body weight, body composition, of course, strength numbers, other things like that. And I really am happy to see the players have embraced this. Now they're used to it. Like you said, we're going into year 3, but we're really just heading into our second spring with this group.
Right.
When you're really looking at it. So we're still in the early process of routine and understanding. But now you can see our players that have been through it with us leading the other players, telling them what's kind of coming next and how to go about it. And that uncertainty that used to be throughout the roster a year ago isn't there as much. And you can see our guys being more confident because of that.
Get excited, get involved. We got a QR code here down at the bottom of the screen. We all got used to it during COVID, looking at our menus, whatever. Click on it, get your Kansas football tickets, and come out and support these guys in the fall, because the Hill, there's no better setting. There really isn't. And it just, the energy on those 3 sellouts, like you said, you pull up to that, and, Wayne and I have been around a long, long time, and in the last 10, 12 years, we just hadn't been anywhere near that, and it was so much fun for all the sports here at Kansas, for the local community, for Kansas City. It's just fun on a Saturday.
It is, and like you said, it is special, and, you hear some of that, and, you've been here a while, and you look at some of those things, you kind of hear it. and then when, for some of us that are still fairly new, when you really see it and experience, you're like, yeah, that it's for real. And like it is, this program wants to be one that we want our fans, our community, our state to be proud of, but we want to be good partners in this thing as anyone. And we feel when that stadium's filled, there's a lot of wins throughout this area in a lot of different ways. And we want that to be kind of the norm from here on out.
Yeah, it was so cool to be able to see how it's beneficial to so many people. You think about the long-time faithful season ticket holders that have been longing to see sold-out crowds at competitive games. This was probably the time where I saw the most first-time visitors, families and father-sons coming out to their first football game. And, of course, that type of electric environment, we know our guys deserve that. From the hard work that they put in. And then you also think about the number of recruits that we have coming on campus to be able to see what this place can and should be. And so to see a full stadium, contribute to so many different people is so important, and we're excited to see that translate to next season.
Right. I think you made some great points there. I think you talk about a decade worth of maybe some tough times, and so there's some classes and age groups that really haven't experienced it, so they've kind of been on the outside kind of watching, half-heartedly, and now they have a chance to come and experience all the things that you've talked about. But then I think, we've traveled a little bit together as well around this state in some places, and I don't want to use the word maybe obligation, but there's always a new sense of, or it hits me another time, of responsibility, because every time we go to one of those places, somebody has come up to me and told me that they've had season tickets for 20, 25, 30 years. And that loyalty and that passion to this university and this football program is something that I take seriously, that these people have been through and been supportive, and we need to make sure that we give them the best chance for us to have a successful team and for them to have a better experience.
You mentioned a couple kinds of fans, the long-timers, the people that just wanted to catch on the momentum. Then there's the families that, hey, I'm not going to come until there's a product to come watch. Well, there's no more excuses. You've got a great product to watch. You've got a great setting. Click on that code, come out and support these guys, because no more excuses. We need you out there. You guys work incredibly hard, and you deserve it. And the crowds this year, how much did that help just the guys' adrenaline? We talk about it all the time in Allen Fieldhouse, and we can have the same thing over here.
Absolutely. And Allen Fieldhouse is such a special place that kind of hit me a year ago the first time I went in there about what it could be. And honestly, what do we have to do to get that over to the football stadium? I do think, as you're saying, is that I think some of our players coming back for the extra year, or even having thoughts of maybe leaving and looking at another program, I think that home field and those sellouts that definitely had something to do with it. And hopefully we're going to get to a point, guys, where jump in now, as Greg talked about, to get those tickets, because eventually they're going to be pretty difficult to get your hands on, especially good seats.
Yeah. Another thing to talk about, for years we were under scholarshiped, for lack of a better term. We're back at a full 85 right now. How much does that benefit you, not having to convince guys to gray shirt, blue shirt, walk on, whatever? Now you can just say, we got 85 spots, and it's the first time in a long time.
Right. They changed some of the rules that allowed, there used to be the rule of you could only sign 25 players in a year. Well, because of the transfer portal and other things, they got rid of that, which really gave us the latitude to get us where we wanted to be. And yeah, you start having all these creative meetings on how we're going to stretch the numbers and get people in and develop a roster. And it's not just 85 scholarships, because then you have to offense, defense, and then you want to balance those classes of, you can't just have all seniors and juniors and go through it. So there's a lot of things that go into that. And for us to be able to kind of be a little bit more on even footing with our competition is definitely a step in the right direction.
Greg highlighted a little bit earlier about the great job you did of retaining some key players for next year. We got some guys moving on. Some of them are seniors. Some have a potential to play on Sundays. You think about Lonnie Phelps. You think about Earl Bostic Jr., who has a great opportunity there. Then surveying the different Jayhawks that we have in the NFL, whether it's a Dorrance Armstrong or Akeem Adeniji or Kwame Lassiter that got some minutes, Steven Sims Jr. What does it mean to be able to point to Jayhawks to have an opportunity to play on Sundays as it pertains to motivating our guys here and then also the overall health and notoriety of Kansas football?
Well, as you know, as a professional athlete, that's, from the time any of us have ever played, we've always had those dreams that we would be able to be in that at that level and have an opportunity. And it's still true today that's every player's goal, to have players that have that opportunity. And here recently, when we go out and recruit, we can talk about you can reach all your hopes and dreams right here at the University of Kansas and being a Jayhawk. Kyron Johnson, is somebody that's went through a lot of changes here, gets drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles, and now he's going to be in a Super Bowl. To have guys that are doing that is pretty special. And then you mentioned, Lonnie Phelps going to be at the Senior Bowl, got invited to the Combine. He was only in this program 1 year, but I know he took advantage of it, and he has made his contributions. Yes, we would have wished he would have stayed another year, but I can't fault him. And he was very honest with us on what his thoughts were, but he never, if you remember in that bowl game, he had almost full body cramps, and he didn't want to come out. And most guys that have that mindset that they're going another direction would have tapped out or even opted out of the game altogether. And then you look at Earl Bostic guys real quickly. How many guys are going to go to the Combine who are academic All-Americans as well? And when you really look at somebody like that, I mean that's one of the things that we can recruit on a lot of different levels about having a chance playing the NFL, playing in all-star games, going to combines. Oh, yeah, he's got 2 degrees from here as well. So we can talk to families, parents, everyone about really what the total experience is here.
One thing we haven't really talked about yet is the Liberty Bowl, about the atmosphere that was there. We talk about the fans showing up during the winning streak. How great was that atmosphere at the Liberty Bowl? We had probably 60% of the fans, maybe 40% Arkansas, but a great setting. Obviously a frustrating end, but again, one of the best games of the bowl season. Your guys showed tremendous fight being down and were able to climb all the way back in it to make for a memorable finish.
Yeah, it was an amazing turnout by our fans. You hear we're going to have a great turnout, and the weather wasn't the best, and it's kind of going through that, and you just don't know what's really going to be there. And we're kind of in our own world at the hotel doing our things, game days. I don't know what's all happening at pep rallies and things like that. Then you come out there again. The 20 minutes before, like when we leave the field with like 25-plus minutes and then taking the field back with maybe 3 or so, the amount of people that enter a stadium, and then you looked at it and it was like, wow, this is pretty special. And it says a lot about our fans and their desire to support us in those bowl games. And you said, you're right. And when it's 60-40, close to whatever that is, the energy in the stadium is something special too, because there was always something going on. We didn't get off to the start we wanted to, fell behind. But I can't tell you really, Greg, how proud I am of our guys, because with 30 minutes left and in there at halftime, there's a lot of ways just to play it out. And to even be at that point, and it says a lot about our leadership. It says a lot about our assistant coaches, the leadership within that locker room. I mean about our players and their desire to be successful and to make that thing a game. And though disappointing as it is, it gives everybody just a little bit more within this program to work a little bit harder so that we get that corrected. And hopefully it gives our fan base, as we said earlier, just more reasons to believe in this program and this team.
Sure.
Yeah, the word that I left walking away from the stadium, got a chance to take my 13-year-old son, was inspiring. And I'm so glad that he got a chance to see it, and so glad that that's something that we get a chance to build on moving forward here into this next season. And we'll get you out of here with this, because you talked a little bit about the Combine. And one of the signatures in the Combine is, of course, the 40-yard dash. You're sitting between 2 superior athletes right about now. What would you say the over-under is in terms of if Greg and I put our hand in the dirt right here behind you for a 40-yard dash? What do you think the times would be between he and I?
Ooh. The times of each one of you, or the distance of the winner to loser?
Yes.
I always hope. I'm just glad you didn't include me in it because I would just want to get
Well,
to
let's
the
include
40.
you. Let's include you. Yes.
You
Yes.
include, well, there'd be 2 hamstrings gone in no time. Wow. I value my friendships with both of you guys, and you guys
I got thick skin.
and you've been great to me since I've been here. And
If we set it
so
at 7,
I don't want to jeopardize that, even though Wayne would win.
well, that's the easiest answer. We know that, but
By how much?
Could I break 7 seconds?
Yes.
Wow. Okay, there you have it. A lot of confidence.
If there was a plate of wings at the end of that 40 yards.
Ooh.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm actually, I would just be trying to get through with 2 Achilles intact.
Yeah,
there you
that's what I'm worried about.
Flexors, like,
I don't really care about the
we'd
time.
we'd all be there.
Well, the next time our fans have a chance to see you guys, we haven't announced it yet, but a date will be forthcoming for the spring showcase.
I can know. You want me to say it or not?
I was told that we were supposed to wait.
Let the people know, Coach.
Yeah.
Well, right now
let the people know.
I'm not supposed to. I guess I was told no.
It's
Behind
sometime
the
in
curtain,
April.
It's sometimes early April.
There you go.
Early April.
The anticipation can build.
Okay. Well, we'll make sure we get that out to our people.
And what will the format be? It'll be a little different than just a spring game.
You know, it's there's a lot of things that we look at. The traditional spring games are not as much as they used to be, and one of that is because of the year-round things we get to do with our players. Right. And the other part is that we get to play a game now in December, and we have those opportunities to get the extra practices, the live hitting, but the wear and tear on bodies are important, and there are certain times in the spring, especially with your older players, you want to make sure they're healthy and healthy going forward. So we'll continue to modify a few things, but there'll be some parts of live football and exciting football and we want to make it a great day or evening, and we're going to try to have some fun with it.
And one last thing, we talked about the administration and locking you up and your staff. Along with that came some capital projects. Kind of talk about where we're at as a program with what the next steps are concerning Anderson and Memorial Stadium.
Well, I can't even announce the spring game. I don't know if I can talk about that, but
generalities.
No, we're going to start on some renovation improvements within the football facility, the Anderson football complex, and to make it better for our players on a daily basis. We're hoping that those will start immediately after spring football.
And part of that is Anderson was built 15 plus years ago, and staffs have grown immensely. So it's more of a space thing. It's a once over, more of a makeover.
Yeah, we're gonna improve in the locker room and do some things in the weight room, and then part of that we'll have to, which will be the first thing we'll have to do. Then after the season, we hope to have, additions added on to the building as well. That'll help us with some of those space factors that you've talked about, because really, staffs have been added in so many different ways. We have, between adding an on-field coach when they went to 10 assistants, to having analysts and quality control coaches, player development people that are going to help in many different areas, and nutritionists and other things that are all there for the betterment of the student athlete. And everyone has them across the country. We just need to add to the space and update ourselves a little bit. And then I think, that's, I'm not completely sure between Chancellor Girard and Travis Goff about our discussions about, as we've made the announcement of making improvements to David Booth Kansas Memorial Stadium, but those are going to be coming in the near future as well, about what that plan's going to look like and how that's going to really alter kind of where we're moving forward here in the short term.
Yeah, it's interesting thinking about the new things that have come into college athletics and being priorities, whether it's navigating the portal or NIL. But the reality is facilities still matter.
It does.
Right?
It does. And those things are still becoming important, are very important as well. But it's still, when you bring a young man in here, they want to know how they're going to be developed, with what, and who's going to be impactful. And we're at a great point right now with some on-field success, some administrative and fan support that are going to allow us to make the necessary steps here. They're going to put us, on par with a lot of people.
It's facilities and resources, and to have those, it takes money, and so that's what Wayne and I and others have to go out and find, and the timing couldn't be better.
Right.
doing this 6 years ago would have been much more difficult than doing it right now.
Yeah, and I understand, and we appreciate all your efforts as well, because it's difficult when there's not the results. You know, some people do. We talked about those people have been there a long time. Some people want to give to make it better, to see it, and have been there for. Others will say, well, I need to see some progress before I jump in, you know, and that makes sense as well. Well, now we've made progress. Now we need a little more help to get us there continually and take the next huge step.
You're a great salesman. You just said we're going to need to see some progress before we go buy tickets, before we give back. QR code, bottom of the screen, buy Kansas season football tickets. We got 7 games this year. Usually have 6, 7 times to come out with your family. Support these guys, support Coach Leipold, and help us get to where we want to go. This has been fun, hasn't it? Has it been fun for you?
Always
got
fun
any
when I'm with you
parting
guys.
Comments?
Well,
any jokes?
I don't
any
know about
tricks?
jokes. No.
Juggle? Nothing?
No, I'd probably say, first of all, you know, the opportunity to be the head coach here has been something that's been beyond my expectations. And you say it, and I believe it within our program. And I've always heard so many great things about Lawrence and in this university, but it's the people. And it's people like yourselves. It's the people that we meet. And this is truly a special place. And we want to make it even better and better on the football field and in this program. And we can't wait to get back to work.
Well, as lifelong Kansans, Wayne and I both, I think you and Kelly have been great in this community. You put your money where your mouth is. You buy tickets. You support charities. You guys are pillars of this community, and it shows.
I appreciate it. Well, again, from whatever level I've been at, I kind of believe in that too, is that, you know, if we believe in it, if we need it, then we should believe it and support it, but also be a part of your community, and we love being part of this community and this university.
Well, we appreciate you. We're going to support you. Everybody out there is going to support you, and it's going to be fun this fall. Let's go back to another bowl game, get it this time, and have a great offseason. We'll see you at the spring showcase.
Sounds great.
This has been the Jayhawker Podcast. I am Greg Gurley, along with Wayne Simeon, Coach Lance Leipold, brought to you by the University of Kansas Health System.